Hi, we're going to talk about another way you can take notes. So in another video I told you how to take notes on note cards, the physical note cards. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about printing out hard copies of the sources and writing your notes directly on those sources. So I already did this before I made the video, just so that I can just show you what I did and make the video a little bit shorter, especially since the last one was 7.5 minutes. Okay, so here's my first source. It's about Ben Carson. I printed it from a database. Databases are your friend. You should be friends with databases, not Wikipedia. Anyway, so source here, so I have the source number at the top because I need how many sources for this paper? Six sources. I need 6 sources for this paper. So this is source number 1, and I also color-coded it red. How beautiful. And then I also highlighted everything in the text in red itself. Now, so see what you, I'm sorry that everything is backwards, but I'll make it make sense to you, I promise. So I have the source number here. I printed out the whole source for myself. Typically, I would ask you to put the bibliographic information right up here, but because I got it from a database, and databases are wonderful, and they're your friends, look at that. The database actually gave me the bibliographic information on my last page because I asked them to, and I specified that I wanted MLA. That is the way that we are taking notes for research. MLA, not APA, not Chicago. There are lots of different styles for showing that you've researched information and where you found that information. MLA is how we do it in English. So it gave me a nice little bibliographic information. So I don't need that at the top of the page because it is right there, handy dandy in the back of the packet. So what I did as I went through is, because one of the things that we are looking at when we're looking at your notes, that you are highlighting, don't highlight an entire sentence. Do not, unless you need the whole sentence, do not highlight an entire paragraph, because are you going to go back and read the whole paragraph again? No, you are not. I assure you, you are not. Highlight only what you need. And then in the margins, you're going to write down how you plan to use that information in your paper. For example, I have here about Ben Carson, the nation's youngest chief of pediatric neurosurgery. And then I put a little note, background information, and a major accomplishment. I might even want to put that in maybe my introduction to Ben Carson. That's possible. Then I have here, most famous surgeon on the Hopkins staff. Again, background information. I linked it to that one. And I also made a little note to myself, maybe not for what I'm going to put in the essay itself, but just a reminder, as this is partially why I picked him, because he's a Hopkins doctor, and I think it's kind of interesting because, hey, we live in Maryland, and he works at a hospital in Maryland. Kind of a cool connection. And then I have here, successfully separated Siamese twins. And then, forgive my text messaging, people love me. Then I have over here on the right-hand side in the margin that it's an accomplishment of his, and then I just made a little note, separated Siamese twins. So how I'm setting up my paper, because I picked the third one where I'm comparing and contrasting one hero's internal and external journeys, what I did is I thought that internal journeys could be represented by characteristics of that person, what they value, like what things they find significant in life, that sort of thing. And then their external journeys would be more like accomplishments, what they achieved for a particular profession or group of people. And I thought that would be more representative of external because that dealt with like society and that sort of thing. And then character and values, that's more inside of you and who you are. You could also think about things that they experienced as like adverse things, like adversity early in his life, and I know he definitely did, and that would be part of his internal journey because it helps make up who he is on the inside. That's how I interpreted it. So that's what I put here, accomplishment, and every part that was sort of a big portion of what I wanted to say in my paper, I underlined that. So accomplishment, I underlined it, and I shortened it to accomp. And then I put character, underline that, character, underline that, and that just kind of helps me see in those spots really quickly whenever I'm looking at my source. So, source number 1, that's a suggestion, how you do that one. Not a suggestion, that's just how you do writing on the source itself. And then, here's my second source. Remember, I need 6 sources for this particular paper. So source number 2, look at that. I gave it number 2, and I gave it a different color from source number 1. Yay for color coding! Doesn't it look wonderful? And I even am following Roy G. Biv. Red, orange. My next one is yellow. Cool, huh? Anyway, so this one actually talks about Ben Carson, sort of how he's made his little foray into politics. And then you can see my note here. I went with the same ideas that I did in the first source, character, accomplishment. I might just separate them, internal journey, external journey, if I wanted to do that for myself in my notes. But I was more specific in what I meant by internal journey and external journey. So then I have character, and then I put here that he's not afraid to speak out, brazen perhaps. Even politically, he's not afraid to speak out. Even though he's a member of the medical community, he's not afraid to speak out politically, because this is about how he spoke in front of President Obama and said some things most people wouldn't have said in front of President Obama. Go Ben Carson. Way to be brazen. Yay, vocab words. Okay, and then you can see here, I underline values, like something that he values, and because it says that he called for a better education system. So obviously he values education. And then I have something here about how his character, he's outspoken but relatable to people, and so I highlighted this quote, most liberals would agree with the basic principles at stake, principles he talked about in this speech. Personal responsibility, the importance of education, and the benefits of intact families. So I connected that back to his character, the note from the previous page. So that's how, it's as simple as that. Now for this one, I have my source information. I put it on my card, but what I need to do is put the source information right here on the top of the sheet. Since I already made it as a card because I was showing you guys the note card method, I might just staple this bad boy to the front of my packet so I have the source information. And this is what goes into the bibliography, my works cited page. On the last page of source number 1, that's what goes into my works cited page. Okay, if you want to know how to actually make those works cited entries, you can use EasyBib, you can use citationmachine.net. Again, just make sure that it's MLA format that you're using to make those works cited entries. So that's how you're going to do taking notes on the printed out source itself. This is great because the first day that you research, you can print out all the sources you want to use, and then the second day of research, you can actually just go through all of your sources and figure out which ones you need to use and how many more you might need to find. That might be a really nice option for those of you who want to kind of get all your articles printed first and then actually go through all of them and do all of your highlighting. This method makes it kind of easy to do that. So there you go. That's how to do that method. Hope it helped.